Hello sports fans, it is Tuesday, October the 1st, the year 2013, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Let's start with the Monday Night Football game where the New Orleans Saints beat the Miami Dolphins 38-17. New Orleans goes up to 4-0, Miami drops to 3-1. This game was close early, then right before the half, the Dolphins had a bad turnover. The Saints picked off a pass from Tannehill, went in to score from there. The second half was dominated by the Saints, and the Saints pull away and win 38-17. Listen, the Saints are just about unbeatable in their building. They always play well at home. They're much improved on defense. They have their coach back. The Saints are very, very good. Now, I got to see more from their defense, and they got to pick up their road play. But I do like the Saints team, and in their own building, they are unstoppable. Miami, hey, they're 3-1. They've already won 2 road games. They also beat Atlanta last week. This was an impossible spot Miami was walking into. I mean, did anyone really think Miami was going to win this game last night? This is not a bad loss for the Dolphins. I mean, you had to give them a loss here. I mean, they'd already beat the Colts on the road, had a big come-from-behind win against the Falcons. Miami was walking into a storm last night. I mean, so no disgrace losing to the Saints last night. Miami overall 3-1, doing a nice job. Saints get the win last night. They are 4-0. Let's go through the standings real quick in the NFL through 4 weeks. Let's start in the NFC. The NFC East, Dallas is leading the way at 2-2. Dallas had a chance last week to really separate themselves in this division. They had a bad loss to San Diego. I didn't think that was a good loss by Dallas. They were up 21-10. Every time you think Dallas is going to go to the next level, they take a step back. I still think they're the best team in this division. I think Dallas is a playoff team, but they're so spotty. You like to see more consistent play from Dallas. They are 2-2. They lead the division. Philadelphia 1-3 and going nowhere. I know Philadelphia's only a game behind Dallas. They are going in reverse. Their defense is atrocious. They're going to give up 30, 40, 50 points every game this year, and the bloom is off the Chip Kelly offense as well. The offense hasn't looked great the last 2 weeks as well. Just a matter of time before Vic gets hurt. I think the Eagles are a train wreck. I think Kelly goes back to college within 2 years. Watch him coach Cal in about 2 years. I'm telling you, he's not going to last in the NFL. The Eagles are soft. They have no defense. They're going in reverse. Washington 1-3. They did beat Oakland last week, kind of saved their season. Washington's got all kinds of issues as well. We know about RG3 not being 100%. What about the defense? The Redskin defense is atrocious. Played a little better last week, but that was against the Raiders and their backup quarterback Flynn. I think the Redskins got all sorts of issues. I do believe in RG3. I don't want to count the Redskins out, but they have so many issues on defense. I don't see it being a big year for Washington. Giants 0-4, they're done. It's a lost year for the Giants. Hey, the Giants won 2 Super Bowls in the last few years. The football gods are making them pay for it now. They're 0-4. They're bad in all phases. I'm not saying Coughlin is going to be fired or anything like that, or they need to trade Eli, but this is a lost year for the Giants. They look atrocious. They're being blown out every week. Let's go to the NFC North. The Detroit Lions lead the way at 3-1. Had a big win last week over the Chicago Bears. Detroit can score with anyone. Stafford is a very good quarterback. Johnson is good on the outside, throwing a little Reggie Bush. They have a good offensive line. Detroit can score with anyone. Like to see him pick it on defense. Like to see him get a little more disciplined. I think Detroit is a good team. I think they're going to be right there for a possible playoff spot. Chicago 3-1. They're another team. Good, not great. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team, but they could definitely be a playoff team. Cutler can be up and down. Chicago's very good at not only taking the ball away, but scoring once they do take it away. Chicago's a good team, not a great team. Green Bay 1-2, had a couple atrocious losses this year. Should have never lost the game to Cincinnati when they fumbled that game away. Had a bad loss to San Francisco. That was a very winnable game as well. We all love Green Bay's offense. We all love Rodgers. Like to see him get a little more balanced with the running game. Like to see him pick it up on defense. Just because they have Rodgers, you can't count them out. I think Green Bay, can definitely be a threat for the playoffs. Don't know if they're a Super Bowl team, though, this year. Got to pick it up on defense. Got to get a running game. But with Rodgers in that passing game, they're always a threat. Minnesota 1-3. They did beat Pittsburgh last week in London. Going to be a long year for Minnesota. Their defense is bad. Ponder is hurt. I don't love Castle. He did play well last week. I'm not a believer in him long term. Don't like this Minnesota team, and they play in a tough division. That makes things worse. Over to the NFC South we go. New Orleans Saints 4-0. We just talked about them. Very improved this year. Improved defense. Have their coach back. They can beat anyone at home. Like to see them pick it up a little bit on the road. Have to see more of their defense as well. But New Orleans overall, solid team. We all love Drew Brees. Carolina 1-2. Beat the Giants 2 weeks ago. Had a bye week. We'll see if Carolina can put something together. You know, Carolina, 1 up, 2 down the last couple of years. We'll see if they can put something together. Atlanta, 1-3. Very disappointing. I thought they would beat New England on Sunday Night Football. They did not. Atlanta's got all sorts of issues on defense. A lot of guys out, a lot of new faces. Steven Jackson out at running back. Danger time for Atlanta. They're 3 games behind the Saints for the division. Danger time for Atlanta. I like Atlanta. I like the coach. I like the ownership. I like Ryan. I like Jones. Got to get Steven Jackson back. Got to pick it up on defense. Tampa Bay 0-4. One of the most bizarre teams in NFL history. They actually play hard on defense. Their defense has actually played decent the first 4 weeks. Their offense is anemic. They're looking to trade Freeman. I don't know if Glennon's the answer. He had 2 big turnovers at the end of the game last week. Blew the game to Arizona. Who knows if Shiano lasts? They're a bizarre team. Shiano preaches discipline, yet they're an undisciplined team. They have no offense, but they play hard on defense. I mean, Revis is squawking about the coach. I mean, Freeman's squawking about the coach. It's just a bizarre setting in Tampa Bay. 0-4, going to be a long year. All right, over to the NFC West we go. The Seattle Seahawks lead the way at 4-0. Had the tremendous come-from-behind win against Houston, an improbable win where Houston just handed them that game. Seattle, the best team in all of football. If they get home field, they can make it to the Super Bowl. San Francisco 2-2. They did get back to their winning ways with a win on Thursday Night Football last week over St. Louis. Got to get some of their guys healthy. A couple guys out on defense. Got to get Crabtree back. I mean, I love San Francisco. I'm a believer in them. Are battling Seattle here for the division. They're 2 games behind Seattle already, and they've lost to them. So that means if they can't catch Seattle, wild card team. That means no home field. I mean, maybe potentially going to Seattle for a playoff game. San Francisco's got to pick it up. They got a big game against Houston this week. Arizona 2-2. Listen, I don't want to kill Arizona. They came back and won last week. To me, they're exactly what their record says. 2-2, kind of mediocre. I think they're going to be an 8-8 team. Not awful, but not great. Not a playoff team. St. Louis 1-3. They need all kinds of work, St. Louis. I expect St. Louis to make some big moves next year. I think maybe next year could be the year for St. Louis. Bradford's got to develop. I mean, he is supposed to be a franchise quarterback. He's not playing like it. St. Louis needs a lot more weapons. They're not going to do it this year. Keep an eye on them next year. Very important year for the Rams next year. That is your NFC. Over to the AFC we go. The AFC East, and what a surprise. The New England Patriots are 4-0. Despite all the guys out. Amendola out. Gronkowski out. Hernandez off the team. A million guys out. Now they lose Wilfork for the year on defense. And there they are, New England. First place again. Undefeated again. Belichick and Brady. That's all you need to know. Miami 3-1, doing a solid job despite the loss last night to New Orleans. I like Miami. Now, Miami last year had a decent start and then faded out at the end. Hopefully they can keep playing good football the whole year, the whole way. Jets 2-2. To me, that's 2 more wins than I thought the Jets were going to have all of this year. I thought the Jets would be like an 0-16, 1-15 team. They actually have 2 wins. They did get blown out by Tennessee last week. Geno Smith is, he makes a million mistakes. He does some nice things, throws a decent deep ball. He's going to make a ton of turnovers. I mean, he's a rookie quarterback. The Jets don't have a lot of offense. The Jets are playing hard. I have to give them that. They're playing hard on defense. They're playing hard. That's all you can really ask. They don't have a lot of talent. I don't think the Jets are going anywhere this year, but they are 2-2. Buffalo 2-2, kind of like the Jets. Rookie quarterback. Not a lot of talent around them. I mean, the Bills, 2 wins. I mean, you got to give them credit for 2 wins. I mean, they beat Baltimore last week. They had a come-from-behind win against Carolina. They were right there with New England. I don't think Buffalo's any good, but they're 2-2, so I can't kill them. All right, let's go to the AFC North. Baltimore at 2-2. Been very disappointing this year. Got blown out by Denver. Lost a bad game to Buffalo last week where Flacco threw 5 interceptions. Didn't look good when they beat Cleveland 10-6. So far, not impressed with Baltimore, but hey, you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. They have a good organization, good quarterback, good coach. You got to give Baltimore the benefit of the doubt. Right now, they're not playing well. Hey, last year they weren't playing well. They ended up winning the Super Bowl. Cleveland 2-2. How about the Browns? The Browns are showing signs of life. They made the change to Hoyer at quarterback. He's doing some nice things. The tight end looks tremendous. Cleveland doing some things, and their defense looks pretty good. I like what Cleveland is doing. Do I think they're a playoff team? No, but they are starting to turn things around. Cincinnati 2-2. Little spotty so far this year, Cincinnati. Lost a tough game to Chicago. Lost to Cleveland last week where they couldn't get in the end zone. And if Green Bay doesn't fumble, Cincinnati could be 1-3. Now, I think Cincinnati is the best team in this division. Not firing on all cylinders. 2-2, a little disappointing for Cincinnati so far, but I do think they're the best team in this division. Pittsburgh 0-4, going nowhere. They're kind of like the Giants. They're getting beat up in the trenches. They turn the ball over. No offensive line. No running game. Defense looks old. Can't get a turnover if their life depended on it. And they turn the ball over consistently. Lost year for the Steelers. They're not going to fire Tomlin. The Steelers do not push the panic button that quick. They've had like 3 coaches in 40 years. They're not going to fire Tomlin. They got Roethlisberger. They need to regroup and rebuild in a hurry. Over to the AFC South we go. Indianapolis 3-1. We all love Andrew Luck. Indianapolis, a couple of really nice wins this year. Had that big win in San Francisco a few weeks ago. I was very impressed by that. Indianapolis, really, really good team. Might be better than they were last year. I really like Indianapolis. Tennessee 3-1. Much, much improved, playing very hard, but now they lose their quarterback, Locker. They lose him for 4 to 8 weeks. That's a loss. Now, I don't love Locker. I don't think he's the greatest thing since John Elway. We still got to see more from him, but I don't love Fitzpatrick as the backup. I saw enough of Fitzpatrick in Buffalo. Maybe they can survive for a couple weeks until Locker gets back. Hopefully he's only out 4 weeks instead of 8. Overall, though, Tennessee playing hard, improved on both sides of the ball. Very impressed with Tennessee so far, 3-1. Houston 2-2. Houston 2-2, and one of the biggest disappointments in football. And they're 2-2. I mean, Houston in Week 1 rallied to beat San Diego. In Week 2, they should have lost to Tennessee, pulled that game out of the fire. Then they get bombed in Baltimore, and then last week they let the game totally slip away against Seattle, and Matt Schaub just threw the game away with his little dying quail floater that got picked off and run back. Awful loss by Houston last week. Awful, awful, awful. Schaub's got to pick up his play. Houston's got to pick up their play. Let's see something this week, Houston. You're in San Francisco. Show me something. Of course, I said this last week, and they fell flat on their face at the end of the game. Very disappointed in Houston. Jacksonville 0-4. Hey, they're the worst team in football. They're going to get the number 1 pick. Garrett looks like a bust. Jones-Drew looks like he's not going to be healthy again. They do get their best receiver back this week after a 4-week suspension. Probably not going to help. Jacksonville has very, very, very little talent on this team. Worst team in football. Over to the AFC West we go. The Denver Broncos 4-0, just beating up everyone. Peyton Manning has never looked better. Wes Welker fitting in nicely. They don't even miss right now Von Miller, who's on suspension. They haven't missed him at all. Denver looks like one of the best teams in football. Peyton Manning, though, you know him in the playoffs. He doesn't play as well in the playoffs as he does in the regular season. Peyton Manning, one of the best regular season quarterbacks in NFL history. Not so in the playoffs, so it's all going to be about the playoffs for Peyton Manning. Remember him last year against Baltimore? Remember him in overtime against Baltimore? Didn't play well. We'll keep an eye on Denver once they get to the playoffs. They're going to have a big regular season. Kansas City 4-0. Great job by Andy Reid. Smith, the new quarterback, playing well. Kansas City, good defense, good running game, good special teams. I like Kansas City's teams. Kansas City's team, I should say, some of the best fans in all of football. Kansas City looks like a playoff team right now. San Diego 2-2. Mixed bag of tricks from San Diego. A break here or there, San Diego could be 4-0. Could have really beat Houston in Week 1, beat Philadelphia, and with a couple of breaks, I mean, they could have beaten Tennessee. They let that game slip away at the end, and then they come back and have a nice win against Dallas. San Diego playing hard. Rivers playing out of his mind, playing great. The San Diego offense looks tremendous. I mean, they may lose Freeney now on defense. We'll keep an eye on his injury. They said he's been very important in the locker room. San Diego playing hard. I have to give them that. They're in a tough division. They are only 2-2. They're already a couple games behind Denver and Kansas City. I don't think they catch either one of those teams, but I want to give San Diego a little credit here. I've been bashing San Diego for years. Are playing hard. I did like the win against Dallas last week. Philip Rivers playing out of his mind right now. And Oakland, 1-3. Hey, listen, Oakland doesn't have a lot of talent. I don't know about Flynn as the quarterback. I don't know about Pryor as the quarterback. We'll see if he gets back this week with his concussion. Oakland does not have a lot of talent. We all know that. It's going to be a long year for Oakland. They're probably going to finish in last place. They need a lot of rebuilding, Oakland. It'll be nice to see when the Raiders get back to winning football. I love the fans at the Black Hole in Oakland with all their outfits and stuff. Like to see Oakland get back to some winning football. All right, so that is your your AFC NFC standings right now. It's early. We're only 4 weeks into the football season. Okay, let's get to the baseball last night where we had that play-in game. Tampa Bay beats Texas 5-2. That game was in Texas. I made a mistake yesterday. I thought that game was in Tampa Bay. There were so many scenarios with Cleveland, Tampa, and Texas, depending on who tied and if there was a three-way tie. I, for some reason, thought that game was in Tampa Bay. My mistake. My apologies. That game was in Texas last night. Tampa Bay wins 5-2. Price was tremendous last night. He went all the way. Longoria with a home run. So Tampa Bay knocks out Texas. So Tampa Bay will now play at Cleveland on Wednesday for the one-game wild card spot. The winner of that game will play the Red Sox. That series will probably take place over the weekend. So that's some stuff in the American League. Of course, you got Detroit and Oakland as well. In the National League tonight, Cincinnati at Pittsburgh for the one-game wild card. The winner of that plays at St. Louis. Dodgers play at Atlanta. Matt Kemp out for the playoffs. We'll keep an eye on Ethier. He has a sprained ankle as well, so the Dodgers got a couple of injuries. Very interesting series. Atlanta is a very, very good home team. How about the no call yesterday in the baseball game? How come every time I watch a postseason game, the umpires blow a call? Last night, Tampa Bay hit a single to center field. I mean, the Texas outfielder clearly trapped the ball. They called him out. They called him out. Cost Tampa Bay a run in a big inning. Now, it didn't cost Tampa Bay. They ended up winning. How come in these postseason games, we see this every year? You have the best of the best umpires. You have extra umpires. And they always make these ridiculous mistakes. Easy calls. I could see that from a mile away, the guy trapped it. Hopefully next year they get the extra replay. You'll be able to challenge that because I am sick of these calls in the postseason. You see it every postseason. It's just horrible. I mean, I couldn't believe they missed that call last night. Okay, so you guys are all caught up. Tonight you got Cincinnati at Pittsburgh in the baseball as we take a little break from football. Should be a very, very nice atmosphere there in Pittsburgh. They haven't had much playoff baseball in like the last couple of decades, so they should be really, really up for this game, especially with the Steelers being out of it. Should be a nice atmosphere. I could see this game going either way. Tomorrow, college football picks. Thursday, NFL picks. Friday, we'll preview the weekend. Now, tomorrow, we're going to do our college football picks, go through the top 25, the big matchups of the weekend. I'm going to have a special guest with me tomorrow. I'm going to have a special guest picking the games with me. Definitely tune in. You want to hear from this guy. This guy knows his sports, and I don't say that lightly. I don't get impressed easily. This guy knows his sports, so tune in to me. Very special guest picking the college football games with me tomorrow. You guys, thanks for tuning in. You guys stay safe. Enjoy the game tonight, Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. I will talk to you tomorrow. College football picks, special guest. Talk to you tomorrow. Take care.